It's been a really long time. I haven't had much to film. Please, you're gonna see my cats running around. Like, please don't mind them. I haven't had time to film any of like the big events that I've been to or done much of anything else. This is usually where I'm sitting 90% of the time. I'm in school, and the other thing we do during the summer is car shows. And I did film one way back in May. I just never edited it. Edited it, if that's a word. Anyways. But I'm also coming on here because I'm kind of switching gears. Not much. I do still want to do lifestyle, and I do want to game. I have not played DDV in literally months. The game is extremely bugged, and if you've watched any of my previous videos or streams of me playing, it was extremely buggy. It's even worse now. They haven't fixed anything on it, so it's kind of been a toss-up. I did play for a little bit, but I got tired of the bugging and the crashing, and I just stopped playing. I actually haven't touched it since like, what is this, July? Since like May, maybe? I didn't even play the new update that just came out, I think, two weeks ago now. I have no interest in it. I have been playing Palia though, but I only play it on my Switch because I don't have a gaming computer, and I can't stream on my laptop and play the game at the same time. So if I can figure out a way of either getting a bigger Switch to be able to play the game and play it with you guys, or get a gaming computer, whichever happens first, then we'll start streaming again. But for now, it's just gonna be videos. I do plan to come back to streaming, just it's not in the cards right now. However, we're switching things up. I have been reading like crazy the past 6 months, going on 7, and I kind of want to introduce a little bit more of some books. I restarted my book Instagram, or my Bookstagram. I'll have it linked down below so you can follow that one as well. I had one 6-7 years ago, and I used it for a few months and then I stopped. And I actually had plans to do a YouTube channel with books, but I just never did it. Back then I didn't have the camera and everything that I have now to be able to do that, so now I do, and I want to add it onto content that I already make. So to introduce it, we're going to do the mid-year freakout tag. I've seen countless videos of this. I do not know exactly who started it, so if anybody who is a booktuber or a bookstagrammer or knows that kind of stuff, and you know, please like tag them down below and let me know, because I do want to give them credit for whoever started it. I personally don't know. But I have a list. Yes, it's on Post-it because I didn't have time to find a notepad, and I was just too lazy. It was the first thing I seen that I could write on, and I wrote down what all the different tags are in most of the books. I do not have some of them. Some of them I have on my Kindle, and some of them I borrowed from the library, so I don't own all of the books that are on this, and then some of them are books that I don't even have yet because they were part of my anticipated releases, or they don't come out till I don't think I have any books so far that come out like the rest of the year, but I have one that came out in June that I don't have yet, but I already have the first one, so I'll show that one. But yeah, so we'll get into it. So the first one is the best book that you've read so far. And I don't own this book. I borrowed it from the library, but I'll put a picture of it. If I don't own it or don't have it, I'll try to put a picture of it like right here. And it's the Atlas 6. I have been wanting to read this book for so long, and I picked it up and I loved it. I devoured it so quickly. It's a dark academia book. It talks about, it has 6 characters. You follow every single one of their personalities, persons. I'm not good at this, but you follow each of their stories. It is in 6 different point of views, so you get each of their point of views. They all have different magical capabilities, and they are asked to join this infamous library. They have to go through a year's worth of like studies, essentially. I'm not gonna try to give too much of it away. And some stuff happens, and there's 2 other books, and I'm in between a couple of different books, but I'm also reading the next one, which is the Atlas Complex. The Atlas Complex, and then I think the last one's the Atlas Paradox. Don't quote me on that, but those are the other 2. I don't remember which order they're in, but those are the other ones, and just the stories, and you get all of their personalities, and they're all completely different from each other, and two of them have the same magical ability, and the other 4 have different, but it's so good. I loved it. I did not expect to love it as much as I did. I've never read Dark Academia. This is like my first introduction. It's kind of fantasy-ish too, I guess, but it's my first introduction to it, and I fell in love with it, and I seriously cannot wait to finish the next 2 just to see where all the story goes. I'm like 30-some% into the second one, and it's getting pretty good so far. The next tag is the best sequel, and I had to, again, I read these on my Kindle. I have physical copies, but I read them on my Kindle also because when I read these in the very beginning of the year, and I did not feel like holding physical books, and I just got a Kindle for Christmas, so I just bought them on my Kindle to read. But I gotta get it out. These are the special edition ones. I actually got these for Christmas. I gotta get the one out that I want to. And that would be A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I don't know why I looked at it. I should have known it. This one is the biggest book of all 3 of them. It is a trilogy. It follows Lila and what is his name? What is his name? What is his? Kel. Lila and Kel. Kel is a magician from the Red London. I think the Red London. There's 4 Londons. Red, white, gray, and black, I think are the 4. You follow Kel, who is a magician who can go through all of the different Londons. The black one he does not go through because it has been crushed or diminished, essentially. The other 3 Londons he travels between. He works for the king and queen in the Red London. Lila is from Grey London, I believe, where there is absolutely no magic. Red London has magic. White London, I think it's limited. I don't remember. But the whole story is so good. I loved these books. The first one was a reread for me because I read the first one, and then the second one and the third one were new, and this one is amazing. I loved this one. There was so much depth and a lot of things I just did not anticipate happening. I think I've read other V.E. Schwab books, but I believe, I don't remember. There's a ton of them that I still want to read, but this series is hands down one of my favorites. I gotta find it on here in my stack. Another book, or the next book, is new releases. I didn't read any new books from this year, at least that I know of. I know this one was last year. I haven't read this one yet, but I don't think this one was published. Yeah, this one's older. Okay, so I'm gonna go with one from last year, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I am a huge Emily Henry stan. I have read all of her books. I have loved them. I was so excited to have this one also on my list. And I finally got it and read it. I gave it I think 4 stars, 3 or 4 stars. I don't remember exactly. Which I guess I should say I gave Conjuring of Light 5 stars and The Atlas 6 5 stars. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but you know, I'm new to this. This one follows, what are their names? Harriet and Wynne. They are a engaged couple, and every year they go to this place, I forget where it is. Maine. They go to, every year they go to Maine with their friends, and enjoy a day, or I think a weekend in Maine at their friend's cottage. And they are engaged, but they have decided they no longer want to be together, and they have not told their friends. So this is a story of them and trying to keep a secret from all of their friends, trying not to tell them, and just the banter in it was good. The story, not so much. I didn't really like it. This is like the first Emily Henry book that I did not give 5 stars. Like all of her books I have given 5 stars. This one though, just didn't cut it for me. There was just something about it. It wasn't the writing style. I love her writing style. I love her storytelling. The way that she writes characters and describes characters and the personality she gives them has always been amazing. But for some reason, this one just did not work for me. And I've seen that for a couple of people who are also Emily Henry stans. They did not like Happy Place. I don't know what went wrong in this book, but it wasn't hitting for me. But I think that's all I have. I don't really have any others that I've read so far. I've only read 26 books out of the, I think I put 100 on my list. No, I think I did 50. I did 50. 50 is my goal. And I've read 26, about to be 27, because I'm about to finish another book as soon as I'm done recording. But I don't think any of them have been like new releases this year, at least that I'm aware of. So we'll just go on to the next one. So the next tag is also biggest disappointment, which is this one. Again, I'm not going to explain it again, but just after reading like Beach Read and Book Lovers, I expected so much more out of this book, and it didn't hit for me. I don't like it. I really wish I did, but something just didn't hit for me with this one. On the flip side, the biggest surprise, I own the 6th and 7th book. I own 1, 2, and 3 on my Kindle, and then I also have the prequel on my Kindle that I read, and the 4th and 5th I got from the library, which I'm currently reading. But the books are the Throne of Glass series. I've been wanting to read these for a really long time. I know that, why can't I think of her name at the moment? Sarah J. Maas. I know Sarah J. Maas is super popular with ACOTAR, and I know that is a little bit more smutty, which gave me a little bit of a fright to get into Throne of Glass, because I didn't know if it was, I knew it was a fantasy, which I love fantasy, but I wasn't sure if it was smutty or not, and I was super afraid to go into it. I'm so glad I did. I loved it. I was not expecting to love. I love the entire series, but I can't pick just one. But the biggest surprise was definitely starting the Throne of Glass series, and I can't wait to finish it. I am about to do my tandem read with the 5th and the 6th book, and I just gotta finish tabbing it, and I can't wait to find out how it ends. I'm so excited. I love it, and if you've read it, let me know. I want to know if you've read any of these books. So, and any of these books that I talk about, and you have a different feeling about it or anything like that, please let me know. I want to know. I want to read everyone's reviews also. I like hearing how people view books besides myself, because I don't have any reader friends. No one in my family reads, at least books like I like, so I don't really have anybody to talk to about them, so I just gush about it in other ways. And then keeping along with it, the next tag is a new favorite author, which again, Sarah J. Maas. I have never read a book from her series, any of her series, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass, and I don't really plan on picking up ACOTAR at all. I do want to read the Crescent City series. I have been told that it's not as smutty, so I'm okay with it. Those are very, very hefty books, and I can't wait to dive into those as well, but I want to finish Throne of Glass first. New fictional crush. I have to say Rowan from Throne of Glass. I have fallen in love with his character, especially reading, what am I on now? Queen of Shadows. Oh my god. I don't want to give anything away if you've never read it, but like, it was K-All for a while. I was going to put K-All, but in Queen of Shadows, he's just disappointed me beyond anything else. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the way he treated Selena. No, thank you. Instantly I was like, nope. But now I'm like a huge Rowan fan. And that started in the one before it as well. What is that? Not Air of Fire. Whatever the one before that is. I'm not really good with remembering things. You'll come to know that. But I do love Rowan. And then I also, what did I write down? I can't even read my own writing. I don't know who that is. I wrote somebody else down, but I can't remember who it is. Oh, it's because I'm looking at the wrong one. The other fictional crush is Ethan from this one. Oh, his banter and his character are hilarious. I fell in love with him. I literally could not get enough of Ethan in The Unhoneymooners. If you haven't read this book and you need a new fictional crush, right here. He's your man. And on the same topic, we have new favorite characters, which I can't read all of it, but I know I have Aelin on there, or Selena. Selena has become my favorite fictional character of all time, which will never, ever, ever, ever change, is... Why can't I think of her name? I can picture the books, but I can't think of what her name is. What is her name? Mia. Figured it out. Mia from the Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. If you've never read that series either, I plan to reread it again this year at some point, but if you never read the Nevernight Chronicles, Mia, oh, she is such, for lack of better words, such a badass female character. I fell in love with her. I love her story. I obviously love the Nevernight Chronicles because I've read it 6 times now. This year will be the 7th time I've read it. But if I had to pick a new one from books that I've read this year, it would have to be Selena. She gives off the same vibes as Mia. They're both assassins. They're both very strong-headed, very bullheaded, although very different in their own ways, where one has the power of the dark and the other one has more fae powers. I'm not usually a fae reader, which is why I'm very surprised that I liked The Throne of Glass. Selena. Okay. The next tag is Book That Made You Cry, which I have it here. Winter by Marissa Meyer. I reread, what are the books? Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress this year. And I was gonna read Winter, but I never got to it. This is the first time I've read Winter. This book made me sob. I was so upset reading the ending, especially. I literally had to sit there and like pause reading because I was crying. Like, this book was so good. If you don't know, these are like, Cinder is a retelling of Cinderella, where you kind of have the same vibes. She's a cyborg. She lives with her evil stepmother, and she has 2 evil stepsisters. And it's kind of set in the future, where there are cyborgs and flying cars and those kinds of things. And then Scarlet, who is, I believe, a retelling of Red Riding Hood. I believe. Because she falls in love with a wolf. So I believe it's Red Riding Hood. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Cress, which is, she is a, I think she's a shell, which is part of the series. And she is like Rapunzel because she has super long hair. And then Winter, I believe, I don't know who Winter's based off of. That's the one thing that kind of tripped me up, because I couldn't figure out who she was based off of. Because she's an insane princess. I'm assuming, I really don't know, but I loved this book. You get introduced to each character. All the characters do come into each other, so you really can't read these by themselves. You have to read them in order in the series. There's also a prequel, or not a prequel, there's a novella about the evil queen in the series, and then there's another one that is like a novella like after the fact. But you follow Cinder as she meets every single one of these characters, of her trying to escape the reality of her evil stepmom and becoming herself and finding out who she actually is. And I'm not going to give it away because you don't learn that right away. But it's so good. This book, oh, I was so upset. I literally thought people were going to be gone forever in times, and the love interests and who they fall in love with and who they end up with, oh, it's so good. If you've never read this series, I highly recommend it. It is a YA series, so if you don't like YA, I don't recommend it, but if you are okay with YA, I would definitely give these series a chance at least. Okay. Book That Made You Happy. Well, I don't even have to pick it up. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I actually just made a post about this book on my Bookstagram. This book made me laugh uncontrollably. I was giggling the entire time. The banter between Olive and Ethan, hilarious. This is a story about Olive, who has a twin sister who is getting married. Everyone at the marriage ends up getting sick. Or at the wedding ends up getting sick besides her and Ethan, and they are both given the chance to go on the honeymoon, or her sister's honeymoon together. Ethan is the brother of the groom, and they go on a honeymoon together. They absolutely hate each other. It's an enemies to lovers, it's close proximity, it's the one bed, it's so good. The banter in it is hilarious. The story is funny. The way that they fall in love with each other and go through this paradise together, it's amazing. I highly recommend. If you've never read a Christina Lauren book, this is the only one I've ever read by her, and I want to read many, many, many more. But I highly recommend reading this one first because her writing style is amazing. The character development is amazing. The love story, amazing. The banter, amazing. I can't say enough good things about this book. I only gave it 4 stars just because I don't really like how the ending it felt to me like it just kind of rushed, and it was an odd ending. I don't really like it. I don't have it like it just kind of like chopped off. Not my thing. But I do really like this, and I did give it 4 stars, so I highly recommend giving it a shot. There's not a lot, if you're not a smutty reader like me, there's not a lot of smut in this. It's more of a fade to black, which is kind of my deal, kind of not. I do enjoy a good fade to black series, or a good fade to black romance. I don't mind like maybe a 2 on like the spicy level. This one's definitely fade to black though, so if you're not a smut reader, highly recommend. What are we on to now? The Most Beautiful Book. I bought this, I haven't read it yet, but there's a couple other books I would have put in for this, but I didn't buy them this year. So I'll have to go with this one, and it is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I bought this, plans to read it, have not. I read it when I bought it, I don't remember what it is. Let's see. Evangeline Fox has always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic, immortal Prince of Hearts, but she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has his plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. It's a fairy tale, essentially. I do believe it is fantasy. I do know that you should read the Carnival series before picking these up, which is why I haven't picked this up yet. So I do plan to read Carnival, Carnival, Legendary, Finale, and I believe there's one more coming out this year. But I do plan to read those before I pick up this. It does seem very interesting. The cover is stunning. I don't know if you can see it, but there is like sparkles on it, and it has like a sheen. It's so pretty. I do really like this. So I'll have to go with this one. I have other ones that I would have chosen, but I'll have to go with this one because I bought this one this year. Need to read by the end of the year. So I have a few. I want to finish Throne of Glass series. Obviously, I want to read Carnival in this series. Obviously, let's see. There is a most anticipated release, which I think I skipped. I probably did, but if not, I'm going to put it in here anyways. The most anticipated release, actually, yeah, it came out in June, so it would work. For the first half of the year is the second book of The Curse of Saints, which is The Curse of Sins. I read this one last year. I read this one last year in December, and then I found out the next one doesn't come out until June of this year, and I was like, no! But I need to reread this one before I read that, because I read it so long ago. This one is she's a spy, for the Queen, and she has some dark magic, but she has to fight along, the prince with the Queen's son, the prince. His name is Will. They have to work together to uncover some type of truth. I don't remember exactly. I do know that I fell in love with this book. It was kind of like a random pickup at Target, and I fell in love with it after I read it, like within 2 days. I think I gave it 5 stars. I don't remember exactly, but I'm gonna go with 5 stars. It's by Katie Dramis? I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but the second book, Curse of Sins, came out in June, I think. Beginning of June, end of June, beginning of June. I just haven't picked it up yet. But yes, very excited for this. So I want to read, obviously, that. I don't really have... It's the next day. My camera decided to just call it quits. I just literally had to go back and rewatch it to figure out where it ended. So yeah. So it's the next day. Let me finish what I was saying before my camera died. I know I want to finish the Atlas 6 series. Is there anything else? I know I have like a lot of rereads. Like every year I reread The Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. This will be my 7th reread, I think, of the entire series. It's my favorite series of all time. And then I also want to reread Six of Crows, the duology, by Leigh Bardugo. Again, I think that's like my 6th reread because it's, again, one of my favorites of all time. I mean, I named my car after one of the characters in the book, so yeah. The only other books that I do know that I absolutely want to read, and I've had them forever, are The Song of Achilles and Circe by Madeline Miller. I've had both of them for so long, and I have yet to actually read them. I started this one a long time ago, never finished it. I know I got farther than where this bookmark is. What's this bookmark? 20? I think last time I got like 50 or 60 some pages in and then I stopped reading, but I do want to finish this and I want to read Circe. And I'm pretty sure you don't have to read them in a specific order, but I think you need to read this one and then Circe. I've heard like mixed reviews on them. I know some people like one and not the other. Some people don't like either of them, but I do want to read them. I do know Song of Achilles is obviously about Achilles. They are in the, what is that, Greek? I think it's Greek. This is pretty much his story of him going to war in Troy and falling in love. I do believe this has some gay romance or queer romance in it. I don't remember. I feel like it did and I don't remember. And I have no idea what this one is even about. Oh, Circe is strange. Okay, so her name is Circe. I've never even read it. I just know that I wanted to read it. I haven't even read like the synopsis of it, but I do know it's something I want to read. But I think that's it. I think I got through all of the tags. But yeah, so that is my plans. That is the first half of the year and what I've read. I've read 26 books. Well, I think 27 books now because I finally finished a book. But I've read 27 books out of the 50 that I want to read for the year. I am almost guaranteed I'm going to finish the 50 before the end of the year, but my goal was 50. It's probably the most books I've read in a year in a really long time, and I eventually want to be able to up that number, but right now it's very difficult with trying to balance life and school and reading and everything. So it'll happen eventually. But yeah, this is where I want to take my channel. I want to add more book oriented things as well as like my life, and hopefully eventually getting back into streaming again because I really did enjoy it. I don't have interest in playing the game I first started streaming with. I have no interest in it anymore with everything that's going on, and I was gonna attempt to play it again with the new update, but a lot of people are saying that on consoles it is absolutely bugged, especially on Xbox. So there's no way I'm gonna get back into it anytime soon, unless they decide to actually fix things. But yeah, so I am very sorry that I am now in a different outfit because my camera died and I had to wait for it to charge, and even after it charged it still wouldn't turn back on. I'm still learning. I've only had it a couple of months, so it's new to me and learning how it works. I do need to get new batteries, but because I just have the one that's originally on there. But I did go get my nails done today. I was running around. I've been up super early. Well, early to me, but I've been up running around. I got my nails done. Let's see if I can get them to focus on it. Oh, come on. They are NASCAR related. I got number 19. Number 19 is my driver. We're going to Indy next weekend, so maybe I'll try and vlog a little bit of that, us going to Indy. Saturday is my sister's bridal shower, and then after, literally as soon as it ends, we're leaving to go to Indy because the race is on Sunday. And I'm very excited. This is my second NASCAR race, and I can't wait. But yeah, so that's my plans for reading for the rest of the year. I'm sure there will be a million other books that I plan to read that aren't on my list. I actually have, I think, 2 other books that I didn't even, or 3 other books that I didn't even mention yet, that I want to read. I will do a July wrap up of all the books that I've read at the end of the month, and then I'm not a person to pick a TBR or a to be read list, because I'm more of a mood reader. I just kind of make it up as I go. I might try and do one for August. I know in September I will have a TBR list, because I do a readathon thing, which is supposed to be in August, but they moved it to September. It's I'll explain more of it when September gets here. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you still want to be a part of this and still want to be along my journey with me. You get to see pretty much where my life actually is. It's in books and doing homework. That's about it. But yeah, so I thank you for being here, for listening to me ramble on about books. I've been a reader since literally kindergarten. Since I could like figure out how to read, I have been reading. It's been my entire life for as long as I can remember. I may have given up on it for a few years, but I know I've never fully given up on it, but I may not have read a ton of books throughout the year, maybe here and there. But yeah. So I hope you want to be a part of this, and if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. There's a mix of all kinds of things on here right now, and I'm trying to like narrow it down, and I plan to. And I'm very excited to start this journey, or I should say add this onto my journey. So I thank you for being here. I hope you maybe have picked up some ideas of new books to read, and maybe we'll do a readathon eventually where you can sit here and watch me read. But for now, that's it. I will see you at the end of the month for a wrap up, unless I decide to make another video in between there. I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.